What up, friends? I'm waiting for my glow up, and today we're going to be reviewing Luke Combs' newest album, Growin' Up. This is the third album overall by country singer-songwriter Luke Combs. Luke's one of the bigger acts in modern country right now. Full disclosure, I am not really a country fan, only liking a few select albums here and there, but you know what, I thought I'd give it a shot, see what all the talk is about. Honestly, the album's not bad. It still does fall into some of the same traps that a lot of country ends up falling into, but the instrumentals are very tight and punchy, the lyrics are, more often than not, fairly personable, and I think the sound is kind of standard for the genre as it is, was executed pretty well. The opening track, Doin' This, is a pretty heartfelt tune, I have to say, very honest about him and his life as he was growing up. It's a heartfelt ballad with a well-done acoustic and electric guitar combo and some pretty fluid vocals as we get to that soaring chorus. I especially like the piano part that comes in during this track too. The contrast between these softer verses and bombastic hook is pretty well done, and like I said, I like how personal the lyrics can get, as it depicts him kind of like selling CDs that he burned himself to get his start, and how he used to just frequent the local pubs with his local band and sing that way. This personal touch is something I feel is lacking in a lot of modern country, but this is a great example of him taking those unique experiences and melding them with those sort of country tropes to create something actually interesting and engaging. The next track, Any Given Friday Night, though, is pretty underwhelming, one of the weakest moments on the project, I have to say, as it lacks the emotion and sort of introspection that the previous track set up. It feels very stereotypically country because of this. The banjo is a pretty unique addition when paired with the sort of country rock aesthetic that we got going on here, but the lyrics largely just devolve into your classic country tropes like trucks, drinking, and guys chasing girls over these macho riffs. It's not nearly as engaging or interesting in comparison, it just comes off as stereotypical. The Kind of Love We Make is a pretty good song though, I have to say, almost reminding me of like Brothers or El Camino era Black Keys a bit. The riffs are a bit more bluesy this time, and I'm digging how it still has some bite to it despite being a bit more understated and poppy. The lyrics about love are pretty intimate and grounded, and I'm liking how smooth and elegant the vocals can feel. This is especially true in the chorus as well. It has its sultry and playful sides, and it's a pretty catchy and layered tune with a pleasant sound. This is how you do a country love song, I think. Outrunnin' Your Memory is another pretty notable track featuring Miranda Lambert. This is kind of your classic country duet featuring this breezy guitar and the pleasant combination of guy and girl vocals. Their styles complement each other pretty well, and I like how we get both perspectives on the love story here. The vibes are cheerful and nostalgic, and while it's not reinventing the wheel or anything, it's a pretty good example of this style of country. Used to Wish I Was is also pretty good, slowing down the country rock sound to be a bit more bouncy and groovy. The vocals are wistful and pleasant, and I like the nostalgic look at Luke's life about how he tried and failed at different things until he found what was right for him. The organ flourishes add a personable and homely touch to the track, and again, I like how individualistic and specific the lyrics are in this one, making it feel like a glimpse into his life specifically rather than the life of every country guy out there, you know? Now we get to another not great one, Better Back When, which is probably my least favorite song on the record, just because of how fucking corny it is. Once again, the instrumentals have this sort of pseudo-macho, rebellious vibe to them, and the cheesiness largely extends to the lyrics too, especially in lines like, cut a path through the grass, yelling, kiss my ass with a middle finger in the wind. Like, really? Are you like 17? This is like some boomer idea of teenage angst or something. Like, it's kind of cringy. The whole song is like this, almost giving the impression like Luke didn't grow up, especially when he refers to these times as his best nights. The next track on the record, Tomorrow Me, is one of the better ones though, featuring a very melancholic and somber guitar passage. It also has these very introspective vocals and lyrics dealing with a breakup and how he's kind of reminiscing over it and looking back on what he could have done to change or make things right. The track has that feeling of maturity, and the lyrics about trying not to be hasty making your decisions and actually thinking things through is pretty cool. Ain't Far From It is a pretty decent change of pace for the record, even if it's not the most exceptional thing out there. This is when the album leans into its country rock stylings the most, almost having like a rockabilly influence here and there too, and I'm really digging the keys they're coming in, they're really playful. The lyrics are your average party stuff and your stereotypical country cliches like honky tonks or whatever, but it's fun at least. The vocals don't seem quite as used to this sound, with some strain on the chorus I find, but it's alright for what it is. Middle of Summer is probably the last notable song on the record, being one of the best slower ballads on the project. I like the flourishes of piano and how the vocals take charge on this one, being backed up by the instrumental. Once again, taking simple country topics and making them personal, I think the lyrics on this one are pretty good, especially lines like, "It may look like some empty off the interstate, place between where you've been and where you go, the folks around here, we call it home." It's a pretty endearing song about finding home anywhere, you know, and when the electric guitar comes in during the instrumental break, it's pretty impactful. It honestly makes for a better closing track than the actual closing song, Going, Going, Gone. There are a few other songs on the record that I didn't really cover, mostly because they don't do anything too interesting, but for what it's worth, the record's not bad. It is one of the better examples of modern country, I think, incorporating some blues and country/southern rock to give it more variety and make it stand out a bit more compared to your average modern country album. I really dig the addition of the piano on a lot of these songs especially. I also like how a lot of the lyrics on here are very personal, or at least try to put a personal spin on some country tropes, making them feel a lot more impactful than they would be otherwise. However, this album does still fall into a lot of your typical country traps, and the lyrics can occasionally range from just kinda average and stereotypical to borderline corny and cringy. That said, overall, the album is still pretty heartfelt, and it does take quite a bit to make me feel more positive rather than negative on a country album, so props to Luke Combs on that at least. I think next time he should put a bit more stock in his instrumentals, as right now it's pretty good for what it's worth. He does at least try to have some variety, but it still does sound fairly standard for country, and I would appreciate if his maturity in the lyrics extended to everything on the project rather than only some of them. I think he is going in a pretty decent direction, but he does sound very content in being safe as well. Overall, I'm feeling a light 6 on Luke Combs' newest project. Of course, we still have to talk about albums on this show, and this album cover is not that good, I have to say. I think the background image is pretty cool, like the drawing of all these people at the bar, but like his face on the cover, like why is he looking at me like that, bro? Like he should not be there. I honestly think he should remove his name from the album as well. Just make the cover the image of all those people at the bar. I think that helps convey the sort of sound. It's still pretty country, and it does showcase a lot of those country themes as well. It gives it a personal touch, kind of moody too with the color scheme that it already has. I think if he just removed his face, removed his name, just made it that image, it would have been a lot better of a cover. But those are just my thoughts on this newest album by Luke Combs. What did you guys think? Is Luke kind of your favorite up-and-coming country artist right now? Is he some of the best of modern country? Or is this kind of still just run-of-the-mill country stuff for you? Let me know. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell so I don't drink myself into a stupor, and until the next one, farewell.